She stood up at our engagement party in front of 200 people and called me a broke, worthless nobody who'd never amount to anything. Everyone laughed. Her own father smirked. What none of them knew, 3 weeks earlier, I'd already found a folder of documents on my own laptop that could end her father's entire empire. I almost deleted it. I almost let it go. Then she opened her mouth in front of that whole room, and I decided not to. If you've ever been humiliated by someone who was supposed to love you, stick around, because what happened next, it's the kind of karma you dream about. And hey, if you believe people eventually get what they deserve, hit that like button right now. Subscribe too. You don't want to miss where this goes. My name's Nate. I'm 34. And 3 years ago, I fell in love with a woman named Delphine Hargrove. She came from money, real money. Her dad, Winslow Hargrove, built half the skyline in our city, the kind of family that has a hospital wing named after them. Me? I grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment with my mom, worked every job you can think of to put myself through school. Now I'm a project manager. Good job. Not Hargrove money, but good. At first, none of that mattered, or so I thought. The first crash showed up about 8 months in. We were at a work dinner, hers, not mine. Someone asked what I did. Delphine answered for me. "Oh, he's in logistics, project stuff, very stable." She said stable, like it was a nice way of saying boring. I laughed it off. First mistake. A few months later, I planned a whole weekend trip for her birthday. Small cabin, her favorite food, the works. She smiled, said it was sweet, then spent 20 minutes on the phone with her sister describing the resort her ex used to take her to, right in front of me. I told myself I was being sensitive. Then came the family dinners. Winslow would ask about my little job like he was talking to a kid with a lemonade stand. Delphine never corrected him, not once. She just smiled and changed the subject. One night, I brought it up, told her it bothered me. She got defensive fast. "You're being paranoid, Nate. Not everything is an attack." Then she turned it around, made me feel like I was the problem for even noticing. That's the thing about it. It never happens all at once. It's a comment here, a laugh there, an eye roll when you talk about your work. By the time you realize what's happening, you've already convinced yourself it's normal. 6 months ago, I proposed anyway, because underneath all of it, I still believed there was something real there. Her family wasn't thrilled, but they accepted it. Around the same time, I landed the biggest project of my career, leading a development review for the city. I hadn't told her family the details. Didn't seem important. Honestly, part of me didn't want to give them anything else to shrink down. I also did my buddy Grayson a favor. He's a lawyer, asked me to look over some property records for a case. I noticed a few numbers that didn't add up. I didn't think much of it. Not yet. The engagement party was a lot. 200 guests, a ballroom, string lights. The whole thing screamed, "We have money and we want you to know it." I remember standing near the entrance for a second before walking in, just breathing. Some part of me already knew this wasn't going to go the way I hoped. I told myself I was overthinking it. I wasn't. Winslow gave his toast first. "We welcome additions to the family," he said, raising his glass, this little smirk on his face. People chuckled. I smiled and let it go. Again. Then someone asked me what I did for work. Before I could even answer, Delphine cut in, laughing. "Oh, he manages projects. Very impressive for someone who still splits rent with roommates." The room laughed. That wasn't even true, by the way. I hadn't had a roommate in 6 years. Didn't matter. The story got the laugh she wanted. I felt my face get hot. But she wasn't done. She stood up, glass in hand, and what started as a joke toast turned into, I don't even know what to call it, a roast. "Honestly," she said, smiling at the crowd, "I kept him around because he's convenient, reliable, like a nice pair of old shoes." Laughter. "Hey, but every girl needs a charity case, right?"
The room went quiet for half a second, then laughed again. Nervous laughs, the kind where people don't know if it's okay to laugh, but they do anyway. I just sat there. I want to be honest with you, my first instinct wasn't anger, it was shame. I actually looked down at my own hands like I needed to check if what she said was true. That's what messes with you the most, not the insult, the doubt it plants. Then I looked up and saw Winslow, not stopping her, not even flinching, just watching, amused. That's when the shame turned into something else. I stood up, buttoned my jacket, and walked out. Quiet, no scene. But something in me broke that night. Something that doesn't grow back. Wait, you think that's the end of it? Oh no, that's just where it starts. I called Grayson that night, sat in my car in the parking lot for almost 20 minutes before I could even get the words out. "What?" he asked. I told him everything. Then he got quiet. "Nate, remember those property records I had you look at?"
Yeah, they're Winslow's. My stomach dropped. Turns out, Winslow had been manipulating zoning assessments, using early access to city planning data to buy land before it went public, then flipping it for massive profit. Fraud. And the data source? My project. He'd gotten access through a contact without me realizing what it was really for. I sat with that for days, honestly. Part of me wanted to blow it up right then. Another part of me kept asking, is this really me? I've never been the guy who goes looking for revenge. I'm the guy who lets things go, who avoids conflict, who gives people too many chances. I even drafted a text to Delphine that night, apologizing for walking out, deleted it before I sent it. Then I'd flip the other way, replaying the room, the laughter, Winslow's smirk, and think, why am I protecting people who never once protected me? Odessa, my coworker, texted me the next morning. You don't have to be cruel, Nate. You just have to be honest. That sat with me more than anything else, because it wasn't about revenge for its own sake. It was about finally not staying quiet. So I made a decision, not to destroy anyone, just to stop covering for people who'd never covered for me. Grayson and I started pulling everything together. No hacking, no shortcuts, just paperwork, permits, and public records. We wanted it airtight. First obstacle, the city database had restricted a chunk of the older zoning files. Convenient timing. Grayson had to file a formal records request just to get access again, which cost us almost a week. Second obstacle, one of Winslow's associates, a guy named Percy Whitlock, his longtime business partner, reached out to me directly, said I'd heard I was going through a rough patch and offered me a consulting contract. Good money, real good money. It wasn't subtle. It was a buyout, dressed nice. I said no. Wasn't easy though. That amount of money would have solved a lot of problems. Third obstacle, and this one stung. Winslow found out I was digging, somehow. He called me himself. Nate, whatever you think you found, think really hard about what you're about to do to my daughter's life and yours. Not exactly a threat, but not exactly not one either. 2 days later, my manager pulled me into a meeting, said there'd been concerns raised about my handling of city project data, and I was being taken off my own project pending review. I knew exactly where that came from. That night, I almost quit the whole thing, told Grayson I was done. He just looked at me and said, that's exactly what he wants. You backing off proves nothing happened. He was right. So we kept going. Verified every document twice. Got a second lawyer to review it independently, just so nobody could say it was personal. 2 weeks of quiet, careful, exhausting work. Then came the twist I never saw coming. The reporter, the one we'd been building trust with for almost a week, called Grayson and pulled out. Just like that. Said her editor killed the story, no explanation given.
We found out later Winslow's legal team had sent the paper a letter threatening a massive defamation suit if they ran a single word without ironclad, on-record sourcing. And ironclad, on-record sourcing meant one thing. Someone had to put their name on it, publicly. Not anonymous documents, a real person willing to go on record. Grayson looked at me and didn't say anything. He didn't have to. If I did this, it wasn't going to be quiet anymore. My name would be attached, my job, my reputation. Everyone would know it was me who brought it down, not some anonymous tip, not a leak. Me. I remember sitting in my apartment that night thinking, this is the part where most people quit. This is the part where it's easier to just let it go. I thought about that ballroom again. The laughing. I called the reporter back myself the next morning. Put my name on it, I said. She went quiet for a second. You understand what that means? Yeah, I said. I do. Winslow had a big investor gala coming up, announcing his newest development. Same project, same fraudulent data. We didn't crash it. We didn't need to. 3 days before, Grayson filed everything with the city zoning board. We also sent the documentation to the reporter, my name attached now, on the record. Then we waited. I went to the gala anyway, stood near the back. Winslow was mid-speech, champagne in hand, talking about his vision for the city's future, when the reporter stood up and asked him, live, in front of every investor in the room, about the fraud allegations tied to his zoning data. The room went dead silent. Winslow stumbled, denied it, but the documents were already public record, cameras flashing, phones out. I watched Delphine's face change in real time, her whole world cracking, right there in the middle of that ballroom. She searched the crowd and found me, standing at the back, watching. Our eyes met. She pushed through the crowd, furious, mascara already running. You did this? She said, voice shaking. I didn't lie about anything, Delphine. You called me a charity case in front of 200 people. Your dad smirked while you did it. And you know what the worst part was? I looked around that room hoping someone, anyone would say something. Nobody did. Not even you, after.
I was drunk. You weren't that drunk, I said, quieter now. You knew exactly what you were saying. You'd been saying it for months, just smaller. I let it slide every single time because I loved you. That night, you just said it loud enough that I couldn't pretend anymore. She went quiet. I didn't do this to punish you, I said. I did this because I finally stopped protecting people who never protected me. Your dad used my work I was proud of, to steal from people who trusted him. That was never about us, but what you did at that party, that was. So this is revenge, she said. No, I said. Revenge would have been me lying, making something up. Everything in those documents is true. I just stopped hiding it for your family's comfort. That's not revenge, Delphine. That's the first honest thing I've done in 3 years. She didn't have anything to say to that. She just stood there, and for a second, just a second, I saw the version of her I fell in love with. Then it was gone. I turned and walked out. Second time I walked out of a room because of her. This time, my hands weren't even shaking. Winslow's company is under full investigation now, lawsuits piling up. The Hargrove name doesn't open doors in this city like it used to. I called off the engagement myself, not out of spite, just clarity. You can't build a life with someone who only respects you when it's convenient for her. I won't pretend I feel nothing. Some nights I still think about that ballroom, the laughing, but I don't feel small anymore. That's the difference. Odessa and I still grab coffee sometimes. Nothing serious yet, but it's nice having someone around who's never once needed to shrink me to feel bigger.
Here's what I learned, and I hope it lands for somebody watching this. The people who need to humiliate you in public are usually the ones most afraid of what happens when you finally stop staying quiet. A few months later, I drove past the old construction site, the one from Winslow's big announcement that night. Nothing there anymore. No cranes, no workers, just a chain-link fence, rusted at the corners, wrapped around an empty lot. Weeds pushing up through the cracked concrete, and leaning against the fence, half fallen over, the old promotional sign. Big, glossy photo of the building that was supposed to go up. Hargrove Development, coming soon. The corner of it was peeling off in the wind. I didn't stop the car. Didn't need to. I just looked at it in the rearview mirror as I drove past, and for the first time since that night in the ballroom, I actually smiled. Delphine spent 3 years making sure the whole room saw me as nothing. Funny thing about silence, it's real quiet, right? Until it isn't.
If this story hit home for you, if you've ever been made to feel small by someone who should have built you up, drop a comment. Tell me your story. I read every single one. And if you believe karma always finds its way back around, smash that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. See you in the next one.